Hello and welcome back aboard Goodship. It's Jed, your trusted cruise ship travel guide, and today we're taking a look at the Carnival Splendor after her post-2024 refit. In the latter half of 2024, the Splendor was treated to a much-needed dry dock in Singapore. After a relatively quick turnaround, the ship returned to service, featuring new carpets, room amenities, and a reshuffle of some of the dining options on board. Stick around to find out if this dry dock is enough to entice you back to the aging and eccentric Carnival Splendor post-2024. After a little bit of research, it doesn't take long to work out that the Carnival Splendor suffers from a few critical issues. When I heard that the ship was entering a dry dock, I was so very excited to see what Carnival had planned for the 2008 built cruise ship. But I fear after my cruise on her in late 2024, the updates were simply not enough to address the major issues of the ship. I wasn't expecting an Icon of the Seas makeover, but this was just meh. Firstly, Carnival Splendor still features most of its original mid-2000s interiors, pioneered by Joe Farkas. Unfortunately, this means many of the public spaces on board Splendor have remained untouched. And this is just not a good thing. Splendor was launched back in 2008 and was initially ordered for Costa Cruise Lines. This era of design means that Splendor has been blessed with, or cursed, depending who you ask, with the very gaudy Las Vegas style interiors. Hello 2009. The interiors are just an absolute assault on the senses and overly stimulating. Also, at the end of the day, they are just not that nice to look at, period. And if you suffer from trypophobia like myself, well, stay far, far, far away from the Carnival Splendor's atrium. You've been warned. I would have loved to see Carnival invest in a full-scale renovation of the Carnival Splendor to the standard of other transformed ships in the fleet like the Carnival Sunrise or Carnival Sunshine. Unfortunately, apart from the ship's bright new blue livery, there is really not a lot of changes to be found apart from new carpets and USB ports in the cabins. To be perfectly honest, these updates are not really enough for me to enthusiastically recommend the Carnival Splendor from the ship that you may have experienced before 2024. The dry dock changes are lackluster at best, and speaking of lackluster, I think it's really important to mention the quality control issues that seem to plague Carnival Australia in the main dining room and buffet. Unfortunately, food served on Carnival Splendor was often lukewarm at best, especially in the main dining room and also the Lido Marketplace. Recipes are often uninspired, and the meals that are served in the main dining room are the same meals that are offered in the buffet, so it makes it very difficult in the evenings to try and find something of a higher standard or even something that's just hot. Carnival are also starting to sneak in extra nickel and diming here and there as well. You will notice there is now quite a lot of upsell in the main dining room. However, I will give credit where credit is due. Carnival offers quite a lot of food options that are included in the cruise fare, but we'll talk more about that a little later in the video. I also really need to call out the upselling of alcoholic beverages on the Carnival Splendor, especially on shorter cruises like a 3-night cruise I went on in October. Now, I know these are known as a booze cruise type of voyage, but I've always felt uneasy about the lack of responsible service of alcohol on these shorter cruises. The short length of these trips paired with the emphasis on selling alcoholic drinks can be a recipe for disaster. I've talked about this heavily in previous videos on my channel, but I think it's important to keep this in mind if you are considering a short cruise on the Carnival Splendor. Specifically, in my case, I saw firsthand guests asleep on the floor in the casino after being served in excess, and I also saw a pretty terrifying brawl just outside of my cabin on the very same night at about 3 AM. This, in combination with a couple of run-ins with some other foul-mouthed guests during the day, really soured my experience on the Carnival Splendor, and ultimately has led me to create this review in the format that I have. Fortunately, it's not all stormy seas on the Carnival Splendor, as there is plenty to love on this fun ship. Carnival Splendor's Waterworks and updated mini golf course are of a really high standard. These features are similar to what you would find on some of Carnival's much newer and feature-packed ships like the Carnival Horizon and the Carnival Mardi Gras. As you can see here, the Waterworks are full to the brim with top-notch water slides and fountains. There's something for every age group here, especially with the toddlers splash zone as well. The updated mini golf course has also been fully renovated to a really high level, and in fact I wish the entire ship had been elevated to this level. In terms of the ships based in the Australian market, I truly believe that Carnival Splendor has the best water park setup in comparison to the P&O ships and Royal Caribbean as well. So if water slides are your thing, you know exactly where to go. Now, you've probably worked up an appetite after a day at Waterworks, so luckily Carnival Splendor has you covered with food. As I mentioned before, there are some quality control issues. However, during the day, you really are spoiled for choice. Now, the standouts for me are Guy's Burger Joint, Mad Sizzle, and Masala Tiger. I will say that these venues are top-notch in quality and don't suffer from the problems you'll find with the buffet and main dining rooms. This leads me to my next point. What I really love about the Carnival Splendor and Carnival as a whole is the value for money and how accessible Carnival Splendor is for a great family holiday in Australia. Only a year or so ago, I was able to snag an 8-night Pacific Island cruise for about $500 Australian per person twin share. With prices like that, it's almost impossible to resist, and personally, it also makes it a lot easier to overlook some of the quirks on board the Carnival Splendor. The outdated interiors and sometimes hit or miss dining becomes a lot less of a worry for such great value. The Fun Squad on Carnival Splendor will also have you forgetting any of your worries because there's always something fun to do around the ship. Not to mention the rest of the hard-working Carnival Cruise Line staff who work tirelessly to make your trip a very special one. If it's one thing that Carnival does well and consistently, it's the robust activity and entertainment lineup that can be found across the entire fleet, including the Carnival Splendor. There's so much to choose from that it pretty much covers something for the whole family. Whether it's the rock and glow parties that Carnival are famous for, or the trivia or the comedy, there's a huge list of things you can get up to on the Carnival Splendor. So, whilst the Carnival Splendor missed out on that fully realised renovation the Australian cruising public deserves, I will say that the fresh carpets and updated room amenities are much appreciated in the meantime. As a content creator who is passionate about the cruise industry in Australia, I think it's really important to call out where the cruise lines can improve, so that you as a cruiser can have the best holiday possible. And so, I hope that this video has given you a really clear picture of what to expect on the Carnival Splendor. At the end of the day, with the excellent value for money and some pretty great family features like the Waterworks and mini golf course, the Carnival Splendor is a very compelling holiday option. However, if early 2000s Las Vegas style interiors are not your cup of tea and the party at sea energy is not your vibe, I would say look elsewhere for your next cruise holiday. I had so much fun creating this for you, and I'd love to know whether you'd consider taking a cruise on Carnival Splendor. Do you think the ship needs a bigger renovation, or is she perfect as is? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you so much for stopping by Goodship. As always, it's been an absolute pleasure. If you want to be part of the growing Goodship community, make sure to check out my Instagram or subscribe to my channel. Thanks so much, and I look forward to seeing you again very soon.